Ahoy, everyone. This is David Perry with my continuing series of interviews with colleagues and friends and clients around the world, talking about how we get from the great pause of 2020 into the great recovery of 2021. I think now we're kind of in what I like to call the great transition, and helping us get through that transition, especially for the performing and live performing arts, someone who people here in Palm Springs and around the world know well. She is one of the great singers and cabaret acts I've ever seen here and in San Francisco. Please welcome to Ahoy, Lucie Arnaz.
Oh, that's a lovely intro. Thank you, David. That's so sweet. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. So, I imagine growing up with Lucie and Ricky, not going on stage was kind of a hard thing not to do.
It's especially hard because they were actually Lucie and Desi, but that's part of my past is everybody thinks it's all part of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Ricky, Lucie, Fred, Vivian, yeah. You would think so. You would think that if you grow up with that as your framework, that you would have to do that for a living. I don't know that that's true. How would I know? I grew up there. I was never anybody else. I know that what I saw was people loving what they did. They really loved their work. And I like to think if my father, ran a grocery store or made shoes and he loved it, I'd probably end up helping him do that and learning a little bit about that and all that. And that's kind of what this was like. It's like you're brought into a business. We didn't breed horses, although we did. My father had a breeding farm too. That's what we did. Our family made entertainment for people, and I enjoy doing it, and I'll probably never stop doing it. I want to be Marilyn May. I want to be 93 and still kicking my leg above my head doing nightclub acts. I think it'd be great fun to do that.
Yeah, I did PR for another wonderful cabaret space in San Francisco, the Plush Room, and we had an act once called Hildegard. I'm sure you've heard of her, that wonderful German singer. She plays piano and sings. And she has the fingers cut out of when she's passed, unfortunately, had the fingers cut out of her gloves.
Yes.
And her act that I helped her with was called Hildegard, live at 85. So you got a ways to go.
As long as you can keep doing it, it's a joy to do and to bring other people, happiness and let them forget their troubles for a little while. That's what entertainment is. It's like, why do we use it? We're performers, but how do I use entertainment? I use it to relax. I use it to laugh and to just forget about whatever nonsense is irritating me, during the day. And it's a very valuable thing to do with your time, I think. So.
Yeah. Before we get into talking about the Purple Room, Michael Holmes' incredible cabaret space here in Palm Springs, talk to me a little bit about how you did during 2020. And like I said, the great pause. I remember before 2020, I think we would all say, Lucie, how are you? And maybe wait for a 3-second answer. And now everyone, as my husband said, we weren't all in the same boat, but we were in the same storm. Now saying, how are you really means something. How were you in 2020?
Exactly. Well, I like to say now we're good because knock wood, we're coming around to getting close to the shore, right? We're not there yet, but we're ahoy, and using your metaphor, we can see land. Ahoy! And as long as people don't, start jumping ship and, we take on water, that we're going to make it. I did well. I mean, Larry and I, we live in a beautiful place. We're not in a tiny little, studio apartment in a dark building in New York. And a lot of my friends were. We have a beautiful place here in Palm Springs, and that we were, chained to. So that's no hardship. And he's a writer, and he stays in his room and writes all the time anyway. He was like, what? There was a pandemic? I didn't know. Was there something happen here I missed? And for me, it was a completely different life because I didn't get to do any of my shows, and I was set to go out and do a whole series of concerts, and I was really looking forward to that. And many of them were sold out. I hope they're sold out when we come back. So that was disappointing, but I threw myself into doing all the things that I love to do here too. I spent more time on my house and cooking and shopping and taking care of us. And I got involved in the PPE, the making of all the paraphernalia that the hospitals needed, the masks and the gowns. And we started and very proudly got that together with some of the most wonderful angels here in the Valley. So that kept us busy for a while. And I had my grandchildren in and about from time to time. And you'll be the first to know properly on screen in front of the world that
Breaking news.
my son just had another child this morning. This morning, we welcomed a new grandson, our second grandson, our third grandchild, George Henry Luckinbill, 8 pounds, 14 ounces. Big
boy.
Big King George.
King George.
King George. We welcomed him this morning, born in Connecticut. And Joe sent us a whole slew of pictures and we'd FaceTimed and all that. And so everybody's really excited about that today.
Well,
but yeah, my other grandson lives not far from here. My daughter moved out of LA and she moved nearby us. So we were taking care of them and that kept me very busy, which was lovely. And my friends, we've been doing pretty well, luckily. We just stayed where we're supposed to. We played by the rules. We had the world's smallest pod of people. We took care of each other. We listened to each other. Once in a while in the summer, we would, get out and rent a tiny little house somewhere near the beach. And then we came back. But it's been a long, long haul, hasn't it? It's been a lot. Being entertained by our friends online, who would do wonderful shows and put stuff together. People got so creative, I think. Opens up. It was really like entertainers are great because if it's a war, it's like we suddenly became like a USO show, didn't it? Everybody doing stuff to entertain the troops, and we're all the troops. But it's true. I was saying to somebody the other day that it's the first time in my history, certainly, and I'm sure most people's, where you cannot look at anybody and not think I have nothing in common with that person.
Yes. You
have, if nothing else, you have all been living through a pandemic. And even the people who are, the deniers, there's nothing going on here. They actually know there is, because I have spoken to many, many of them, and there are a bunch of them here in Palm Springs, and they know there's a pandemic. They know there's a COVID virus. They're just playing politics with their friends. And a lot of them are getting the vaccine and telling their friends they didn't. So, seriously. Oh, yeah. I'm not getting that vaccine. I got 2 shots. I feel fine. That's the hoax. The hoax is that there's no vaccine. That there's no pandemic and there's no COVID and that these people aren't concerned. They are. And
so they're in the COVID closet.
They're in the COVID closet. Yes, exactly. And unfortunately, some of them took it too far. And unfortunately, a lot of them passed away during this thing because they played the game too long and they actually got sick. But we're coming out of it. Thank God we're hearing voices again, parental voices leading our country that are sane and making things happen, putting one foot in front of the other, not just ignoring stuff. And man, it's just been so empowering and such a relief. I'm breathing again for the first time in many years.
Yeah, I understand. Every day when the president issued his 100 days mask challenge, I decided that every day I would post a picture of me or a friend or a colleague or a client. Actually, if you send me a picture of you today in a mask, you'll be my post today. And I do a haiku. So it's like 17 syllables about mask wearing. And today is day 89. We have 11 more days. It hasn't even been 100 days yet. Can you believe it?
What? Since the mask challenge.
Since the president.
Yes, it hasn't been 100 days yet. Isn't that amazing? And look at all the stuff that got done. I know, isn't that just nuts? And good stuff too. It wasn't even like, oh no, he did what? He ended what? He killed what? He fired who? Maybe we'll miss some of the chaos,
No.
You get
Sorry.
No, sorry, not.
No.
Some people enjoy chaos. They grew up in chaos. They want chaos. It makes them feel comfortable. Not me.
Well, as they say, the stage is either drama or comedy, and I prefer comedy. And in your case, musical comedy. It's been a while since I've seen your act, but I feel like I'm getting your post-COVID warm-up now for when you have those sellout shows again.
I can't even imagine. I don't do a warm-up. I just come out and sing, but I feel if I had to go on stage right now, it would be really hard just to start off and sing like nothing happened, right? I'd have to stop in the middle of the song and go, hang on a second. This is cuckoo. Like, we're actually singing again. Wow.
Yeah, what is that going to be like for you? The first time you set foot on, let's bring it home. The first time you're on stage at the Purple Room here in Palm Springs. What's that going to be like for you and for us?
Well, it depends on when that happens and how many other people have been on stage already. And it's not like I'm not the first one, then I'll look a little strange if I break into tears. But on my first time on a stage, it's probably going to make me cry a little bit. I'm afraid I'd even, maybe I'll get over it by the time I finish rehearsing, because I literally have not rehearsed in a year. It was so depressing, everything, that I just had to just like drop it and focus on other stuff. And I just felt weird, even singing. So I thought, what am I gonna, I sang other people's songs and stuff. I would sing in my car doing, regular stuff. But of my own show, I just was like, no, leave it alone. I was at the gate, done 2 shows here in the Coachella Valley, which were great sold out shows. And I was heading on the road, and then it was just like, so I just, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do anything then. Then as they kept postponing it even more, I thought, this isn't going to happen for a long, long time. I just got to forget about it. So I did. And only just recently have I started to think about my pattern, my words, and what did I used to do? And because, it is a muscle after all. And if you don't work it slowly, you could go out there and really hurt yourself. So
I understand. I play piano. I paid for college by playing piano and singing in a nightclub, but I quickly learned that I was better backstage than on stage. But that's another story. And I didn't play piano for pretty much all of 2020. I couldn't do it. And the first day I played piano was the day that Biden was announced to be our president. And I sat down, and I know this is going to sound really corny. No. I sat down and I played America the Beautiful, and I burst into tears.
I'm crying right now, and you're just telling me in retrospect.
Oh, and it's the same thing. To me, it was hard to be creative. It's like people say, well, you're a writer, David. What did you write about? I'm like, really? No, I just drank more and haiku. 17 syllables a day. I was able to sometimes do that.
Yeah.
There are places that are not just part of our careers, but certainly here in Palm Springs. And I think for those of us who love cabaret and know great singers like you, or, like Garland, Karen Akers, Ann Hampton Calloway, so many, Sam Harris, who I worked with many years ago. The Plush Room the Purple Room is a special place.
Yeah.
And you can already tell from the response to the GoFundMe campaign, it's part of people's heart.
Yeah.
What made you leap into action, and why is the Purple Room so special to you?
Oh, well, I don't want to disparage any other establishment that is in our valley, but I will even include Orange and Los Angeles and many. There just aren't great supper clubs that are places you really feel are class A material, great, a place you can go and have dinner and a great drink and bring your friends, a celebration type of a place. There are lounges, and there are some, I don't even know what they're called here where we live. There's some little clubettes that are sort of in the lobby of a hotel with the doors are all open to the lobby, but people are checking in and you're going, Swanee. Very strange. There isn't anything like the Purple Room. It doesn't exist. And there's the McCallum Theater, brings in big Broadway, and there sometimes is an Annenberg Theater that comes and goes. But that's a big theater. That's not this.
They're not intimate.
This is like Feinstein's at the Regency. This is Feinstein's at 54 Below. This is our answer to that. And Michael Holmes, when he stepped in and bought this place, he really had the frame of mind it took to turn it back into the great clubs of the 60s and where the Rat Pack was and all that. Even just the way he dresses, even the way he greets people at the door, his presence is stylish and classy, and his menu is classy. His chef is fantastic. He redid the whole place, so it's really elegant and casual at the same time. It's sort of like, it's a cross between the 21 Club in New York and Cheers, because you can go where everybody knows your name, and the stage is great. It's not too big. It's not up too high. So you're looking down on people. People in the audience don't have to look up like this, which is sort of crazy in other clubs. The sound's magnificent. And the people he gets are just great. Like first part of the week, if it's Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, he has local jazz and, just great musicians, jazz people, Latin people, all different kinds, but they're always good. So even though they're not doing like you got to shut up and listen to me act, they're playing music in the background and singing great songs while you're having a lovely meal or at the bar, you know you're always going to get first rate. You're going to go there and hear great music. And he's had the same wonderful people a long time. Then, like on Thursdays and Fridays, Saturdays, he brings in top A talent from New York, from Broadway, from Los Angeles, Hollywood, all over the place. I mean, it's been everybody from Tommy Tune to Sam Harris to Lainey Kazan to Shirley Jones to Marilyn May and Billy Stritch and Ted Firth. And I've never done my show at the Purple Room. I've been dying to do my show at the Purple Room. But
I'll put in a good word.
No, it's not. He's asked me many times. But I've been at the McCallum Theater doing my Latin Roots show or the Symphony show one year, and then I did another show there, or I was at the Annenberg. And if you do that, they always have a contract that doesn't let you appear within 50 miles for that year. So I was like, damn, another year I can't do this. Last year I could have done it. But there you go. But I can and I will. I can't wait to be one. I've been up on the stage singing. I've joined people on stage singing, like Ann Hampton Calloway. I was part of her show one night, and David Friedman when he was here. And that's always fun. They have the Lucie Arnaz Awards, the Purple Room, and we started them there. And Michael Holmes is just an incredible citizen of our community. What can I say? He really is a lovely guy. He's done everything right there. Even when the COVID hit, he helped make all the PPEs and the gowns and the masks. He turned the Purple Room into that. He did takeout Purple Room food. You pull right up to the door and all that great stuff. You could order it and get it to go, which is insane with those kinds of supper clubs. They don't usually do that. And then he kept his staff on like for 8 months. He paid everybody until he couldn't anymore. And he took out all the loans. He took out everything he could get from the government. I mean, he never said, "Oh, I need money." And he didn't even want to ask when it came to this. It was like,
I know. Well, and it took people like you and Sue Cameron and Ann Hampton Calloway and Billy Stritch to step up. I mean, it kind of reminded me of the Palm Springs version of It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Selfishly, that I don't want that place to go away. I want it to be there so that we can all play there, but mostly I want it to be there so I can go there. It's a great place to go. When we say it's, oh, let's go to the Purple Room. Sometimes we just go down there for a drink, just to listen to music. And it can't go. It's not leaving. It's not going to go. So we started this GoFundMe. People are jumping at the chance. I think if people don't stop, we will make enough to keep him afloat. And he can pay off some of the loans, and he'll be able to, I think even right now, he probably has enough to try to start to open again soon. But then you got to keep it open, knock wood. I don't want to say that prematurely. People have just been great. And I think it's their way of then saying, I own a little piece of this club now because I gave my money. And you go online, look at the donations. Sure, there's people who are giving, 2,000 and 10,000. But most people are giving 25 and 10 and 50 and 100. And that just makes my heart sing, There are people who are here and they go, oh, yeah. Oh, no, that place can't go. So, and everything you're doing, even just talking about it today is very helpful.
Well, I grew up in the arts. You clearly did. And it is the arts, I've always said, is not a nice to have. It's a gotta have. And
yes,
this
absolutely.
In our last few minutes, talk to me though about specifically Palm Springs. I moved here with my husband after 35 years in San Francisco, which I still love and go back. Mm-hmm. Not as much, obviously, this year. Mm-hmm. But I've always thought there was this connection between San Francisco and Palm Springs, both cities that love the arts and culture.
Yeah.
And Palm Springs is going through kind of a COVID moment. As we come out of this, as you say, ahoy, we can see the shore. Thanks for extending my nautical theme. Palm Springs seems to be going through a moment when people who wouldn't have appreciated it before really say, what a great place. What is it that you love about Palm Springs and made you come here?
Yeah, well, those are lots of different subjects in the same question. But, I think people either get it or they don't. Palm Springs is a metaphysical haven to me. I'm moved by it on a level that I can't really even put my head around. These mountains speak to me. There's something spiritual here. There just is. And when you're here, it's like well, it's like, I don't want to offend people who voted for the other side, but when someone gets elected, and calms the sea, it's like, oh, I can breathe, I can take a deep breath. When I come here from even New York, I love New York. New York is a gigantic battery charge, and I'm a theater person, and that's always going to be a home of sorts for me. But coming back to Palm Springs now is a battery charge. It's where I want to be. It's where I want to perch. It's where I want to live. It's doable. It's calm. There's not so much traffic. Let's start with that. You can get things done here. You can get your errands done in an hour instead of a half a day. People who live here seem to have an outlook on life that's more about life is short. Let's have some fun. And they respect one another. There's an enormous gay community, which brought so many arts and great restaurants and shops and stuff. It isn't, God's waiting room as it used to be for many, many years. It's just older people who lived here.
Yeah, when I first came to Palm Springs, the joke was it's the gay 90s. Everyone's either gay or 90. So
yeah, there you go.
Now I say we're both.
We're both. Yes, older retired people who wouldn't want to live here. You'll live a lot longer in the desert with the temperatures, and there's golf and there's tennis and there's hiking and biking and all that jazz and pools and things. But I don't even use all of that, and I love it. I don't. I just love being here. And the friends I've made here are some of the best friends I've ever had. And just like-minded people who understand it's a safer, nicer place to be than some, even though I travel all over the country all the time. We had our share of COVID deaths and COVID crazies to deal with here, as they do everywhere. But I think for the most part, people play by the rules, and we're trying to, creep out now. Like, can I come out? Can I go have lunch somewhere? But we're good people. They're good people here. I like these people. And I grew up here as a kid. We had a house from the time I was 4 at Thunderbird. My mother and dad would bring us down on weekends and like Christmas vacations when the season, and I do remember it, and I loved it. I loved all of it. I used to come here as a teenager from time to time, and I played tennis, and I loved it. Then there was a whole 20 years where I just didn't do Palm Springs. I was busy with my family. I lived on the East Coast for 40 years. And I would swing through here to do a show or something, but I didn't really spend any time here. And when I came back to visit friends who had moved here, I thought, wow, I had no idea. Well, I could see myself living here. And when we got tired of shoveling snow, we just said, Larry, how about Palm Springs? Yeah, and it was I wish I'd done it 10 years ago.
Yeah, it does catch you by surprise. Alfredo and I have fallen in love with it too. Any closing thoughts? And I'll ask you seconds either about the Purple Room, what your next act is going to be, and when are we going to see you next on stage? I'm sure you've got a plan back of your mind.
Well, plan. I mean, I have rescheduled dates, and I think so far it's not until after January of 22, because people had to book in advance and rebook the stuff that was canceled first. So that was me. And I have dates in January. I'm starting in Memphis. All my dates are jumbled now. They're not like they were before, but I started in Memphis, and then I go straight to 54 Below New York in late January. And I'm trying to reschedule everything else. So I don't know, it'll be the same act I was on my way out to do before, called I Got the Job: Songs from My Musical Past. And it's really my theater career with stories and songs and stories of talking about how it happened and things I remember that were important and people I worked with and great stories like that. And, I might do it at the Purple Room. Michael and I will talk, and it would be fun to get it back up on its feet again and maybe try with my friends here a good workout. I'll just do it for free, just like a
better be careful what you wish for, as my friend Anthony Turner used to say, from your mouth to God's ears to the Purple Room stage. So hopefully we'll see you there soon.
I hope so too. But I'm just looking forward to life getting back to normal and people being well and playing with my new grandchildren.
Congratulations. We've been speaking with Lucie Arnaz Luckinbill about the Purple Room, Palm Springs, and the wonderful new addition to her family. What's your grandson's name again?
George Henry Luckinbill.
Welcome to the world. George Henry Luckinbill. Reporting from Palm Springs with Lucie Arnaz, this is David Perry. Ahoy.
Ahoy.